This one's mine.
I feel myself getting stronger. Oh no. This one's mine.
I guess speed things up tremendously. Pretty sure Goblin's like teaching you done by now. Should go watch it already.
This one's mine.
Yeah, it does.
Rounding round and round, burning in the night, just like that. The longer me, everything's louder and louder. Breathe away, leaving a trail. It's so wet. Look at me go. Everything down your eyes. I'm drunk out of time. Oh, stop breathing before we fall. Leave my hand. Instead, we're not the away. There really holding on to every
I wonder if this can work against bosses. Once I can experiment with a different save.
The longer you try, the more that you'll find. The happier you'll be when you go to sleep.
Aw, all this fuss over me.
Need a reason to ever improve.
This one's mine. Thank you.
Bend to my will.
Let me help. My thanks, dear friend. My turn. Thank you.
Bend to my will.
My thanks, dear friends. This one's mine.
Let me try. Oh, thanks for the attention, darling. Let me help.
This one's mine.
Harp of harmony, calm their restless souls.
Oh, thanks for the attention, darling. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bend to my will.
This one's mine. I feel somehow stronger.
Good try getting accuracy up. at least make it so blindness only goes for 10%. Wow, that's expensive. mole. Didn't actually check what level Moldari was. My bad, I wasted money. A lot of it. We'll put it on the boy of the control, and we want you to take that role. You'll just be your friend, you'll just be stuck in it, after all, you only got.
Time to
There
fight.
you are. You really got to not forget to see. You should have. It's like there's so much more, maybe you're thinking it's next before you make some choices to see. Let's talk. It's no longer away, we're not what you're thinking. We're putting it on because of the flow, and we want you to take that role. Join us, be a friend, we'll just be talking to that. After all,
This
you
one's
got.
mine.
My turn. Oh, thanks for the attention, darling. My turn.
I bend to my will.
This one's mine.
Oh, thanks for the attention, darling.
Guide my hand, powers of the heavens. This one's mine.
Educated strike is all it takes.
My thanks, dear friends. Thanks.
Bend to my will.
I just picked up the phone and I still kiss you over my head. The sunset breeze going like that my virginity. We once upon we might be worried about our hearts. Promising that the future will just let's go ahead. To find each other. Breathe, breathe, breathe.
Time to fight!
I've been pushed down to deep, feeling once again.
That's why it's so bad. My students don't make me stay older. Every time I wish you harder. Take my eyes off you.
This one's mine.
Educated strength is all it takes.
Yeah, you're too fast.
Breathe, breathe.
Bend to my will.
Let's go, everybody!
Adrenaline trying from my core. One second I get realized before my
Roll to my stuff!
Powers of the heavens. Thanks.
is actually just a joke now.
Educated strength is all it takes. Let me help.
This one's mine. This one's mine.
Bend to my will.
My thanks, dear friends.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow.
Another way of future life. Anything goodbye for the time. We haven't lived inside and strengthened. Watching we avoid the last divorce. But we can take it strong and short. Although I had to hold the earth tonight. Surely there's more than never real future life. And even if it's not everything for life. We're bound.
Nyanyi. What?
I'm strong on my own, but we're all stronger together.
Since temperature's too frigid even for it. We'll find out as we ask, how great was Articuno actually? In this video, we'll be going over these competitive formats.
Better keep my guard up.
Enjoying nature, the sunny weather, you're away from civilization for a bit. Then out of nowhere, you're caught in a vicious blizzard. It's bone-chillingly cold, so dark you can barely see your hand in front of your face, both of which are getting lashed by wind and snow. It's not possible for you to make it to safety, but the odds are about 1% that you don't. This, in effect, is what it was like to face an unexpected blade. In Gen 1 OU, Articuno stabbed Blizzard coming off of a
This one's mine.
Fight special was timed for the strongest special attack. With agility, it turned into a frightening late-game threat. The Gen 1 mechanics let it use agility to bypass a speed drop from potential paralysis. It was also a terror on account of how badly it destroyed Tier King Torment. Its great physical bulk letting it tank the Bull's attacks well, and Blizzard absolutely shredded it in return. It was similarly dominant against Snorlax. Its physical bulk was so good, Snorlax was the single strongest attack ever won in kill. 100%, potentially doing as little as 78%. Articuno's mighty stab Blizzard also blasted another late-game staple, Rhydon, for a clean one-hit KO. Threatened the daylights out of Exeggutor as well. The Rhydon example was particularly salient because it gave Articuno a significant edge over RB1 go-to agility sweeper, fellow legendary bird.
Bend to my will.
Against Synthos. It was one-on-one, sure, but it withstood Thunderbolt quite decently. Thanks to its amazing special, taking 53.5 to 63.1%, while Blizzard blasted Zapdos back in return for a whopping 67.8% to 79.8%. Articuno could function as a check.
Thank you, my fine hand. Powers of the heavens.
Terrifying assault. Sure, there was also
Let's go, everybody!
which tended to get in the way of special sweeping. While Articuno teams was designed to give the users overload chances one way or another, especially with the bombardment of freeze chance littered across several Pokemon so that the opposing Chansey could not escape and would eventually succumb. Even the highly specially bulky Alakazam struggled to comfortably withstand the sheer might of Articuno's Blizzard. Articuno was one note, but that one note was potentially the most beautiful thing you ever heard. It was overlooked for quite some time, then began receiving acknowledgement as a decent gimmick Pokemon. And then it was realized, oh, this is no gimmick. This is one of the scariest Pokemon around. Absolutely not something you wanted
Let's go,
to face,
everybody!
especially at the end, when everything was needed. Because it was what the opponent was efficiency. Sadly, that one blade was also eliminated.
Oh, thanks for the attention, darling.
Because when it was countered hard. It wasn't necessarily Chansey. It was the fact that Chansey was so often paired with Starmie. Having to deal with two hard stops made it much more difficult for Articuno to get going. Yeah, the other four Pokemon on your team were probably completely destroyed by it. But when your path to success was blocked by two of the most resilient Pokemon in the tier, it can be tough to find.
Educated strike is all
There
it
are
takes.
also other ice types, with cold-resistant Blizzard.
Attention,
Okay, Jinx was
darling.
almost always a
With me, darling.
sacrifice early. Plus, if push came to shove, even Articuno's average attack was enough to threaten it with Hyper Beam. Followed by Lapras, which completely and utterly blanked it. Full resistance to Blizzard. The physical
I feel
But
somehow
as
stronger.
Articuno was rising, Lapras was falling. As players became more and more disillusioned with the Plesiosaur in light of newfound preferences for Storm. Okay, so Jinx and Lapras weren't really issues, not enough to meaningfully thwart Articuno's potential consistency anyway. So was there a problem here? Oh yes, there was. And his name was Cloyster, which was basically Lapras, but a much better metagame choice. Cloyster with its phenomenal physical bulk, letting it take on Tauros and Snorlax, as well as threatening with a partial trapping clamp, and packing a powerful explosion to boot. This made it an outstanding Pokemon which only seemed to rise in usage. Dealing with Chansey was one thing, but dealing with Chansey backed by Starmie or Cloyster was even tougher, and thus Articuno struggled to truly take on. Still, it was a legitimately good Pokemon that the Army-wide player base came to respect and regularly consider, which was a genuine achievement in its own right, and there was little better feeling than unleashing a late-game Blizzard with it. The final blow to Articuno, however, came in the form of discovery of the final legendary bird, Moltres. Its Fire Blast was just as strong as Blizzard. It was almost as physically bulky, letting it act as a solid late-game agility sweeper, packing a viciously powerful stat for Exeggutor. What made Moltres pop up in uses was realizing that Burn could actually be useful, often dismissed as the inferior status you wouldn't actually want to inflict on opponents, since it only dealt 6.25% damage per turn, and then you couldn't sleep freeze or paralyze something like Starmie, which would just recover it off forever. The player base realized that this 6.25% was actually quite powerful in conjunction with Moltres' old partial trapping move, Fire Spin, which effectively functioned like a damaging flinch. Where were these birds coming
Better
from?
keep my guard
From
up.
Fire Blast, which had a 30
This one's mine.
in Gen 1. So Moltres' burn check, then Fire Spin is down into a rage to be finished off. Oh, and its attack was much higher than Articuno's, so its Hyper Beam stung much
Burn
harder.
wins battles,
finishing
brains
Chansey,
win
Starmie, or
wars.
Alakazam. Nothing was going to block Burns either. Moltres absolutely obliterated Cloyster and didn't really have an equivalent Pokemon that could block it like Cloyster blocked Articuno. Seeing as Moltres could actually potentially deal with its own checks, the player base began to prefer it. However, this is not to say Articuno became outclassed. It still had a legitimate niche. After all, Moltres wishes it crushed Zapdos as hard as Articuno did, and it fits the cold one-hit KO Articuno had against Rhydon as well. So while Moltres was better at dealing with checks, Articuno was much more efficient at sealing the late-game deal. So all in all, Articuno was a great Pokemon in Gen 1 OU, and it doesn't end there. Articuno was also superb in Gen 1 UU. Its Blizzard smashed the tier to pieces to hilarious effect. Oh sure, there were Pokemon it didn't like dealing with, like the tier's Waters, Tentacruel, or the start.
Aw, all this fuss over me.
Table, Articuno was an active threat. The only time Articuno was well and truly blank was when Dugong showed up to pull the whole Lapras Cloyster routine on it. Dugong was a good Pokemon in its own right.
This one's mine.
Got used over its water competition. Was its freeze.
Bend to my will.
Everything else.
Oh, thanks for the attention,
Before it
darling.
was banned, even Hypno and its huge special stat got utterly walloped. So did Kadempra, which was usually 2-hit KO. And those were your better options. Everything else took horrifying amounts of damage. Nothing threatened with the immediacy of Articuno. It's one thing if we're talking the one-hit KO that scored on common super effective targets in Dodrio, Dragonite, and Dodrio. But even common targets that absolutely shellacked.
Take this.
Was regularly getting crushed for upwards of 40% and doing nothing in return in fact. That was another notable factor. Articuno's physical bulk meant it got plenty of opportunity against these Pokemon. Chew on this. Dodrio's 4 times super effective Rock Slide only did 49.6 to 3.4%.
My hand. Powers of the heavens.
Thank you.
Articuno even had a niche in RBY Ubers. The metagame largely had a similar dynamic to OU, and thus Articuno had similar strains. It was similarly threatened as well, but it could be genuinely threatening. It hit Mew hard with Blizzard and Ice Beam, and shrugged off even Swords Dance exclusive Body Slam. It wasn't going to be breaking Mewtwo on its own, but it threatened Freeze on it, unless Mewtwo was paralyzed, in which case Articuno did have a chance at breaking through it if played well. Articuno was more niche than an large
Let me help.
running around. It was still a useful Pokemon. So all in all, Articuno had a tremendously successful debut generation. So you know how Articuno was one of the scariest special attackers in the entire game? Well, if you're not much into RBY, and your knowledge of competitive Articuno comes from literally any other generation, that probably came as a shock, as Articuno is well known for being the furthest thing from an offensive threat.
Bend to my will.
Wow, it was once a huge threat? That's crazy. What happened for it to undergo such a drastic change? Well, you know how in Gen 1 there was no special attack and special defense, just a single special stat? Like the other legendary birds, Articuno had a base 125 special, so it both dished out and withstood special hits incredibly well. Then Gen 2 came along and split the special stat into the special attack and special defense we all know today. Whether or not the RBY special stat would transfer over to special attack or special defense is anyone's guess. After all, Gen 1 Snorlax had awful special and retained a terrible special attack.
Let me help. Oh, thanks for the attention, darling.
Legendary birds, they retained their base 125 in special attack. Articuno, on the other hand, retained it in special defense. Its new base special attack stat was base 95. Definitely not, but nowhere near what it needed to be in order to threaten the game like it had. Oh, and Blizzard had its accuracy drop from
This one's mine.
50%, which for an ATP move was unacceptable. Articuno was weaker as a result.
Attention, darling.
Fortunately, it still managed a decent niche in OU as a dedicated wall on very specific hardcore stall teams. As offensive teams rose up to the Articuno provided an answer to some of the
I feel even.
weapons. Its spikes immunity was highly appreciated, first of all, meaning it couldn't be worn down on double switches like its most direct point of competition, Suicune. This was huge for preventing its potential passivity from being exploited as badly, similarly to Skarmory. Furthermore, Articuno absolutely devoured common offense staples in Exeggutor and Nidoking. Sure, Eggy could go boom, but then it wasn't blowing up something else, like Snorlax. Articuno also helped keep Steelix in check, preventing it from getting +6 and exploding on Skarmory while shuffling spikes everywhere. The immunity to spikes and Earthquake while actually being preferred Steelix with Ice Beam was excellent. The offensive Pokemon that actually threatened Articuno, like Zapdos, Machamp, and Tyranitar, didn't exactly love switching into Ice Beam. The latter two with spikes down especially, since Articuno would outlast them there, especially with Toxic. Articuno really started seeing usage though once Jinx became a top tier threat. Half of Jinx's threat was the fact that it could freeze, and voila, Articuno was completely immune to such tricks. It wasn't just Jinx either. Jinx's teammates like Gengar and Nidoking would often attempt to disrupt stall by going for freezes themselves, and Articuno completely stifled such strategies. Plus, it offered stall teams offensive in the form of dishing out its own freezes, potentially making room for its teammate Snorlax to really take over the game. And Articuno had plenty of opportunity to threaten freeze with how many defensive switches it got, as well as the fact that Ice Beam could be called by Sleep Talk. Sure, Cloyster was freeze immune and absolutely everywhere, but it was also utterly ruined by Toxic, which played into Articuno's team's game plan anyway. Articuno was incredibly specific, but it had a genuinely good niche in GSCO, which is better than some other fallen stars of RBY. See Toro, which, like Articuno, was also too good for UU, and thus was relegated to BL, but couldn't find any genuine viability in OU. Articuno's anti-offense prowess while niche gave stall teams an option to keep up in an increasingly turbulent metagame. Articuno was actually quite the solid sleeper pick in Generation 3. Utilizing a unique Rest Talk Roar set a la Zapdos to take advantage of all the UU's passive damage flying around. Permanent Sand, up to 3 layers of spikes, while of course leveraging its own spikes immunity to outlast opponents, but with a distinct set of advantages. Articuno's stat was actually even better at threatening spikes weak Pokemon. Ice Beam would clock several significant targets that Zapdos' Thunderbolt either didn't do enough to or did nothing at all against, like its Salamence, Flygon, and Claydol. This made Articuno a superb spikes immuner, since Pokemon switching into it would be spikes effective. This, in conjunction with its positive magic matchups against severe metagame staples made it an efficient user of Roar. It completely and utterly shut down Swampert, and it dealt with Celebi while being able to roar out Sweetwood effectively, completely shutting down Felicity, even stalling it with ease. Unlike Zapdos, Articuno lacked these ice beams.
The mother's
Articuno was
strength
quite
flows
specific,
through
but it
me.
was a legitimate choice, even seeing some tournament success, cementing it as the real deal. Superman teams, which aimed to stack as many spikes immunities as possible, had a place for it, as it fit perfectly into their strategy of being spikes immune, while wearing down opposing spikes.
This one's mine.
Instead of winning
Bend to my will.
Divine hand, powers of the heavens.
as well as the way it completely took advantage of Swampert. It was tough to truly scare Articuno without Rock Slide. The Rock Slide user wouldn't want to eat its ice beam and spikes down. Sadly, when it was discovered that Gen 3 mechanics had been implemented correctly on simulators the game was played on for so long, specifically that Sleep Talk no longer burned sleep terms if one switched out before waking up, meaning Sleep Talking could make you stay asleep longer. Really similar to Gen 5. Articuno's life was completely different. It wasn't able to threaten ice beams and roars in its sleep. It was simply another passive wall, making it highly exploitable and thus not worth using. Some players tried to use Articuno on intensely slow-paced stall teams, and it wasn't bad, but there was a reason it didn't become a truly established part of the metagame, even in a niche capacity as it had before.
This one's mine.
Articuno is about. It's famously hindered, if not ruined, many Pokemon weak to it, and those with quadruple weaknesses were particularly vulnerable. Thus, Articuno, already ripe with flawed defensive typing thanks to partially being ice, suddenly became potentially one of the easiest Pokemon to beat in the game. The trade-off for Ice type's poor defensive typing is generally a great deal of offensive threat, while Articuno didn't have that. Its poor defensive typing was worse than ever. Forget a decent OU or even UU. It tumbled all the way down to N. Fortunately, there it was quite decent.
One educated strike is all it takes. Thanks for the attention, darling.
Divine hand, powers of the
But had
heavens.
much to fear from Brock. It also gained new reliable recovery in Bruce, allowing it to run a devilishly obnoxious sub-Roost set, which between Toxic and Pressure, threatened to stall out an enormous portion of the tier. You wanted to switch Charizard into Articuno as a sub? Well, you had 4 Fire Blasts to hit it with, meaning you could get stalled out with incredible ease as its sub.
This one's mine.
You were close. It was tough to get Articuno going with gravity.
try.
Finding the right set of opportunities.
Bend to my will.
Wanted a quadruple rock speed Pokemon? You'd have to go with the best Pokemon in the tier, Charizard. But Articuno could be tremendously rewarding in a way Zard couldn't replicate, ensuring it had a place. It wasn't an earth-shaking NU behemoth, but it was unique and excellent at what it did, justifying its occasional usage. Thus, Articuno had a solid place in the 4th generation NU metagame. Articuno received an outstanding secondary stat move in Generation 5, Hurricane. Sadly, it wasn't nearly enough to launch itself past the
Let me try. Take this.
Articuno actually got quite a punch. Nearly the entire tier, but there was one problem. In this capacity, it was completely, utterly outclassed by the incredibly similar Charizard. It was a shame because Articuno was genuinely good in its own right as such a role, but there was nothing it could do to make itself worth using over Charizard. Choosing to do so would just needlessly be using an inferior Pokemon. Sadly, this new power crept
Let me help. My thanks, dear friends.
Before it had actually been quite feasible to practice it, but in NU the options were pretty much or to
Oh, wow. I feel
Pokemon, or to simply grin and bear the rock's weakness. This was worth it for Tier King Charizard, but not at all for Articuno. Thus, Articuno wasn't used in serious tournament play and fell to untiered status, a brutal blow for a legendary Pokemon. Fortunately, Gen 6 saw Articuno receive multiple buffs needed to save it from another instance of the dismal fate of untier. First, there was a new lowest tier below NU, and the low power fuse metagame was perfect for Articuno and its legendary base stat spread, with its offenses hitting the tier hard and its defenses absorbing the tier's hits well. Second, the Fog buff offered a crucial new method for removing Stealth Rock, making it much easier for teams to support Articuno's biggest weakness. Third, Articuno received new Ice Stab and Freeze Shrine, which hit water types super effectively, greatly greatly increasing its coverage. Articuno became an excellent PU Pokemon, with its sub-set being particularly fierce. It didn't even bother with Toxic anymore, just as Stem, which powered through a great deal of the tier with maximum special attack investment. And even with the build of max special attack and speed, its natural bug was so aggressive that it was still regularly a paragon of hit taking. Articuno's only real drawback was the fact that it was an ice type in a tier where one of the two best Pokemon around, Rotom Frost, was also half ice and didn't have that quadruple rock weakness. So in the event that it had to contend, it was a lot better off. Thus, competition was fierce. However, Articuno was so potent once again, got into a groove with Celrus, that it was a highly regarded, consistently used Pokemon regardless. It pressure-stalled bulky Pokemon that might withstand its hits, but struggled to hurt it in return, while effortlessly ripping through the tier's frailer Pokemon. Pokemon it also withstood hits from effectively, and having an ice move that tore through common waters in also Simipour, Lumineon, and Prinplup was just outstanding. Articuno had a rejuvenation in Generation 6, becoming a strong, dependable Pokemon in the new PU tier. Articuno reprised its powerful PU niche in Generation 7, with its same traits fully on display. Its natural defensive presence was quite appreciated, but most notable was its special attack. It bested stab combination bouncing an impressive assault that mauled most of the tier. Though this time it opted to shoot substitute in favor of hidden power fighting, allowing it to drop Auroras and Alolan Sandslash. It also loved the addition of Crystal, and was a superb use of Z. Not only did it love the huge burst damage of upgrading Hurricane and Sonic Sky Strike, making it more threatening than ever, but it also allowed it to bypass Hurricane's off-disappointing 70% accuracy, meaning it could now be dependent on in clutch situation. This made Articuno more reliable than ever. The increased distribution of the bug helped majorly in this regard, ensuring Articuno could hit the field and do its thing without being hampered by rock. Articuno wasn't beholden to Flymium C either. If a teammate wanted to use a Z Crystal, it was perfectly content running its old sub-respect of leftovers, which contained all of its old menace. This was particularly impressive considering how hard PU had been power-crept in Gen 7. Yet Articuno didn't miss a beat. Speaking of the fog, Articuno actually used the move itself, but not in PU. That was actually an integral part of UU Stall, a playstyle which stirred up calls for
My hand, powers of the heavens.
was so robust
Take this, thank you.
the crux of which was pressure. Usually the bot could be outlasted by rocks because it had less PP. But with Articuno switching in as rocks were going up and doubling the PPUs, suddenly it would in effect have more debuffs than the opponent would have rocks. This made it a crucial part of long games against silly Tiger, able to go the distance.
Bend to my will.
Only the debugger in the game capable of taking on Stealth Rock and Folion, which would otherwise be an incredible threat to such teams. Wait, what about Toxic? Blockers often run that. Yes, but Articuno Heal Bell, a move which also allowed it to relieve otherwise debilitating status from its teammates, making it even more effective support. And Articuno running Heal Bell relieved the need for its teammate Blissey to run the move, making it more effective. But wait, didn't Toxic have more PP than Heal Bell? Yes, but once again, that's where pressure came in. Suddenly, these Toxics had just as much PP as Heal Bell, once again letting Articuno win the war of attrition. Articuno's incredible prowess in keeping the field rocks-free for his team was crucial for the longevity of its team. It was thanks to
Let me help. Thank you. Here, take this.
Thanks. My hand, powers of the heavens.
Replace now so powerful, much of the player base considered it broken, and thus Generation 7 was its most successful since its debut. Articuno loved Generation 8's addition of heavy-duty boots, but sadly it took a major hit in viability by virtue of how the PU tier shaped up. Now it wasn't worthless, necessarily. Its innate traits were still useful. And
This one's mine.
on certain defensive teams for its ability to reliably check
Take this.
Pressure the fog was also good. The problem was that it matched up poorly against pretty much every hazard setter, most notably the utterly dominant Gigalith. This was especially nasty since Knockout was everywhere, constantly threatening to remove its boots, meaning it be ripped apart by rocks. Plus, it didn't really check boots inside a few specialized threats. Thus, it fell to unseen. But fundamentally, despite its scary traits, Articuno was actually good on for the most common rocker in Hippowdon. It could check threats like Salamence, Gyarados, and occasionally Primarina. It was niche since a lot of the rest of the metagame knocked it around pretty effortlessly. Until you go Cavalion and their ilk. But it was a legitimate choice. Articuno's main appearance in Gen 8 came in the form of its new Galarian form, which which shed its half-ice type for Psychic, it had a much more offensive stat spread. Its base special defense was lower, but was still a highly respectable base 100.
Bend to my will.
Meaning its special type doubled if it had a stat lower, perfect for punishing the fog and its evasion lowering side effect. Galarian Articuno proceeded to tear things up in both NU and PU simultaneously, performing effectively the same role. Impacted an immensely powerful future sight and was excellent at maintaining momentum with user. It got plenty of opportunities to switch in with its many resistances and solid ball. Galarian Articuno was a great partner for fighting types like Toxicroak, Passimian, and Scrafty, and Gallade in PU. Absolutely love future sight support since Steel, Psychic, and Dark type wouldn't want to switch into them. Plus, Dark types wouldn't exactly be eager to switch into to try and stifle the future sight to begin with, as they got rocked pretty hard by Hurricane. Galarian Articuno also occasionally ran Choice Specs in PU as its signature move. Freezing Glare was incredibly powerful. However, the presence of Gigalith is the
Oh, thanks for the attention, darling.
So overall, Galarian Articuno was superb in Generation 8. Generation 9 saw Kantonian Articuno immediately drop to PU and completely dominate the tier simply because of how hilariously it stands for everything else by comparison. But this didn't last as it rose to
My thanks, dear friends.
from Lurantis, Bruxish, Appleton, Samurai, Quofish, Cacturn, and it was so bulky it could pretty much customize itself to be whatever it wanted for terrestrialization. Even things you think it shouldn't be taken on at all, like Magnetonic Toxicroak. Its time in NU didn't last either, as it wound up returning to PU, where it continues to dominate. Super effective stat, they're probably not going to do anything to it. Staples like Arboliva, Polyster, Spolusa, Poliwrath, and Terra pretty much anything else as well. Galarian Articuno was quite mystifying for the early gen.
I am blessed with new.
of all tiers, using a set with agility, calm mind, and weakness policy to stockpile as many boosts as possible, and thus unleash horrifyingly powerful stat support power. A strategy which appealed to players to bypass full use many unaware users. With Terra fighting, it would destroy King Gambit, and with screen support, it set up with ease and tore entire teams apart. Notable good OU players were legitimately actually calling for its ban. What was equally mystifying and more hilarious was that out of nowhere, everyone suddenly realized that Galarian Articuno was actually bad, which in retrospect shouldn't be shocking, and we can chalk it up to mass hysteria or delusion or something. Either way, Galarian Articuno suddenly crashed all the way down to NU, where it still is now, but that's just fine, because there it uses the same set with either Terra Fighting or Fairy, becoming one of the best sweepers there. It isn't always just the set either. It can also adopt its old boots features like the Hurricane variant from the previous gen, potentially becoming even scarier with terrestrialization, though it isn't necessary for success. It's also excellent with this variant, which was especially useful for punishing the fog with its competitive ability, since it didn't have to commit to a sweep like the setup variant in order to do any damage. So once again, the Galarian Articuno has been absolutely excellent. For VGC, unfortunately, Articuno's VGC usage is very non-existent throughout the year. Congratulations to Ryan Liu for using Articuno at placing 12 in the VGC 2014 online and the VGC 2020 the light paper and
If we stand around any longer, I might just take a nap.
Swat the trick during the World Cup because it was better for the rest of his team, especially to help support the slow Iron Man, which is exactly what happened in the finals match. Congratulations to Jamie for the stellar performance.
Mother Trinity,
Articuno
Ancient of
best
Life,
performance thus
help
far.
us bring
Thank you
balance
so
to the
much for
chaos
making
within this
the
labyrinth.
information. And you should totally check out his YouTube channel where he is doing a VGC guide for every single fully evolved Pokemon. And that's it. So how great was Articuno actually? Well, it's had an interesting up and down history. It had a tremendous debut generation, posing a massive threat in OU, UU, and even Ubers. Then the special stat being split in half knocked it down several pegs for several generations. It still had niches in Gens 2 and 3 OU, but highly specific limited ones. Post Stealth Rocket had a new biggest obstacle. It was good in Gen 4 NU, but also decent but outclassed in Gen 5 NU, leaving it to become untiered. In Gen 6, it received several buffs and became an excellent choice in the new PU tier, where it was also great in Gen 7. And Gen, it was also a staple of UU style, the metagame's dominant playstyle. Gen 8 saw its Galarian form take over, becoming an amazing lower tier Pokemon, which carried over into the next generation, as well as briefly being considered ban-worthy in OU hilariously. So this was probably just a case of misplaced hype. Cantonian Articuno was untiered again in Gen 8, but it came back and was great in PU and NU in Gen 9. So all in all, though it's been through many ups and downs, Articuno has had a rich, successful, competitive career. Thanks for watching, everyone. And as always, if you liked the video and you want to see more, be sure to subscribe to False Life Gaming for more weekly Pokemon content. And in the comments, I want to know, how would you buff Articuno or Galarian Articuno, because it really needs it. Whatever it is, let me know in the comments. And thank you so much to our patrons for continued support of our videos. And thank you to everyone else watching as well.
Better keep my guard up.
Follow my crew on these social media platforms. And that's all I got. See you next time, everyone.
Better keep my guard up. This one's mine.
Yeah,
Really? What the fuck?
thank you.
says Spiller Kowski. Today's a bit of a ramble, sort of a jumbling of ideas. We're going to talk about quantum ogres, which, depending on who you ask, is either a great game master tool to inject excitement while saving on prep time, or a horrible railroading tactic that robs players of all agency. So, for those unfamiliar with the term, quantum ogre is an encounter with
This one's mine.
regardless of which path you choose. For example, player characters
Bend to my will.
Attention, darling.
They made an ogre. Not a different ogre, it's the same one. The game master simply places it whichever path that the players chose. Critics of this say that it's robbed the players of any real choice or any agency, and game masters say that, they didn't do that because the players had no idea where the encounter was going to be, and they're not going to know it was a quantum ogre unless you tell them. It also saves the game master the time of preparing two different encounters, while also being able to inject a bit of action into the game, or in the case that the quantum ogre is really a clue or a story element, it can move the adventure forward. So the ogre
Educated attention, darling.
characters are looking for map to the wizard's tower that they've been seeking, or maybe the quantum ogre is really just them discovering an item, such as a discarded pack of matches that's got a clue written on it. I first became aware of this term when commenters angrily decried my use of quantum ogres, and then I had to Google what the hell that even meant. But it's because I recommended things such as floating clues and mystery adventures, and I know how to trope the player characters take
My thanks, dear friends. Powers of the heavens.
last several weeks preparing. So I reflected on that, what they said and kind of what other people thought about quantum ogres, thinking, maybe I am wrong. It's nothing new, I'm wrong all the time, but I didn't realize that my biggest mistake with that was really just my phrasing. I phrased that terribly, so I do own that. But the other thing that I decided is that while it does have a damned catchy name, I can never deny that quantum ogres is seriously a great name. The quantum ogre provides actual application of the game. And that's where we start seeing a lot of exceptions to it, or at least exceptions on the part of it that is being criticized, such as when does it become a quantum ogre? A lot of games have random encounters, and these can be triggered by various things, such as the player characters enter a specific location, or passage of certain encounters.
Bend to my will.
Player characters fail specific skill rolls, or the game master will probably do something where they check to see if it is an encounter or not, so it's like a 1 in 6, and then they roll some dice, can set the table, determine what type of encounter it was. So, going back to the example, the player characters are in a dungeon, and they're deciding if they should go left or right. The Game Master knows that both locations will have a random encounter. So while the player characters are debating which way they're going to go, the Game Master goes ahead, saves some time, and rolls to see what that next encounter is, and it comes up that they get a pack of goblins. So does that make that pack of goblins a quantum ogre? The Game Master is going to place them at whichever the next random encounter location that the player characters visit is, and if it is considered a quantum ogre, how is that different than if the player characters chose which passage they're going to take, and then the Game Master rolled to determine what was going to be encountered now? How is the Game Master rolling 2 seconds before or 2 seconds after the player's deciding where to go make the difference between a random encounter and a quantum ogre?
This one's mine.
Timing actually make that big of a difference. Also, I feel like the quantum ogres require that the game Those choices are the exact same with no differences at all. It's not taking into account all the different variables that are involved, such as the encounter's location. So let's say the player characters are traveling from one town to another, and they've got 2 path options. One goes through the mountains, while the other is going through a low swamp. Along this journey, it's going to be a quantum ogre. So, in one path, the ogre appears along a clear road, so we can drop off on the side, and the hero is going to be too relaxed as they're trying to fight this thing, or maybe trying to get away from it. The other path is overgrown with trees, this terrible line of sight, sticky mud that slows down movement, but it's also wide open enough that they could surround this monster, all be able to get attacks at once, or maybe flee in different directions and get away from it a lot easier. So Comments in those two situations would be very different, despite the fact that the opponent for both of them is the exact same. So the player's choice, do we take the mountains or do we take the swamp, it isn't determining the future going to happen. This what situation that's going to happen. If we're in a dungeon and we're looking at multiple passages, one leads to a swinging rope bridge over a bottomless chasm, another is a massive pillared chamber, and another is flooded with waist-deep water, and another is just a narrow passage that they have to squeeze through. Critics say that the choice doesn't matter because the encounter that they're going to have is inevitable, but the choice that the players are making is the field of battle that they're going to have that on. So when I say things like all roads lead to Ravenloft, because that's the next big adventure and the Dungeon Master purchased it, they put a lot of work into it, that's what they're going to be playing, and critics scolded how that was taking away the player's agency, my feeling was explaining that the choice that the players are making is in how they get there and what happens along the way. Another variable is the ultimate destination. Your characters choose one of two paths. Both have a Quantum Ogre encounter along the way, but once that encounter is done, they arrive at different locations. The players still ultimately chose where it is that they're going. So if they're standing in a port deciding, if they should go to this place or this other place, even if the exciting incident that's going to happen along the way has already been predetermined by the Game Master, the journey ends with them arriving at whatever destination they chose. The decision and their agency was unaffected. So are Quantum Ogres an actual problem? In and of themselves, I'd say no. Aside from the points that I've talked about with the different variables of the journey and the destination, the big thing is the players don't need to know what encounters or what events were inevitable. From their perspective, they chose a path and it led to an event. And if it's used well, there is no way for them to know that this was a planned event unless the Game Master just outs themselves and informs them. But using them well is really the key here. A poorly executed Quantum Ogre just stinks. So here's a few tips that Game Masters should keep in mind if they're going to be using Quantum Ogres. 1. If the players look first, then information needs to be established. Pulling open the airlock door, you emerge into the derelict space station. Dark passages extend to your left and your right. I say we take the passage to our right. I agree. Hold up. I say before we all go traipsing on down there together with our flashlights, big mag boots, you just let me stealth on up a bit with my night vision and just make sure the coast is clear. That's a good idea. Okay, Mike, so you see around the corner, as you round a bend through your night vision goggles, you see what looks like a spacer in a torn back suit. There's these bony protrusions just sticking out of their skin, and they're gnawing on what looks like a severed leg. Hot damn, and I'm gonna start stealthing on back out of there as I radio the guys what I see. So the player lets everybody know what they found out in the passage, and at that point, the rest of the group can decide what it is they're going to do. Maybe they're going to ambush it, maybe they're going to wait for it to leave, or maybe they're just going to go take the other passage and bypass this thing altogether. Whatever it is, the encounter's location has been established, and the encounter has now left the quantum state. Once the players are aware of where that encounter is, if it wants to move, then it's going to have to move itself. So if the PCs are going to be using magic or sending drones or scouts or making really great listen checks or gathering rumors and researching in order to get some intel, then if that action would discover the encounter that you have planned, then it needs to discover whatever that encounter is. Because if the players put all the work into it in order to know what to expect, then if you suddenly throw in a surprise encounter at them that their investigation should have definitely discovered, that's going to upset them quite a bit. Now, if they do bypass your encounter and they go the other direction, you can't just pick it up and stick it in their way, not unless you have a really good in-game reason to explain how that's remotely possible. Yeah, it might be possible, just depending on where the encounter is. I mean, there's a lot of variables involved there, but it's your game, so you got to figure out, is it even possible? Like, I don't know, I can't tell you that. Which brings us to the other tip. The Quantum Ogre needs to make sense. If you've got your floating encounter that can pop up in whichever path the player characters chose, then it needs to have a logical reason how and why it can appear wherever it is that the player characters go. If you plan to have your player characters face off against oozing sewer monsters which are Quantum Ogre, because you have dropped a lot of clues that maybe they should go check out the sewers, but then the players chose that they're going to check out the mayor's mansion instead, then you need to have a reason why this fancy house is randomly infested with sewer monsters. Yes,
Educated strike.
this corner still needs to be real in its own framework.
hand. Powers of the heavens.
harder for you to keep your players invested because they feel there's just no logic and just throwing random
Guess I
stuff
won.
out and all the
Better luck
choices
next
really
time.
don't make any difference. Anyway,
Maris
that's my
40.
thoughts on the Quantum Ogre. I don't think they're a Game Master sin unless they're just poorly executed. And not even something that I use that much myself. It's kind of like I'm recommending something that I don't
This will
use,
determine
but I think
my
it's
next few
been
choices in
last
life from now on.
And both of those times were mystery games where it was an NPC that could pop up with a freshly uncovered clue, for the player characters and kind of send the adventure off in a different direction or give them a little bit more. But those were very specific uses for the Quantum Ogre because, the NPC that could pop up just about anywhere, but those were social encounters and they were within an urban environment. They weren't meant to be, deadly combat encounters. At least I was intending on them to become deadly combat encounters, but that's a different story. So Quantum Ogre is nothing that I'd recommend for a Game Master to lean on as one of their primary tools in their toolbox, but they can be absolutely fantastic if they're used appropriately. And I just personally don't like the notion that there's Game Masters out there that are getting shamed out of ever using this sort of tool because, a bunch of internet randos convinced them that they were always going to be bad, but really it's a tool that they should just learn how to use well. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. We'll see some more of our stuff, such as game reviews. Hello Internet, it's Zed Skordakowski, and a few months back I tried making a video on tips and habits for being a great player, but I quickly realized that I just had too many tips for a single video, so I broke it down. I made one video about creating good characters that complement the game and the rest of the table, then another over great player mindset. So we're going to cover today is great player etiquette. 9 behaviors, both in and out of the game, that Game Masters and other players love, and what makes them love playing with you. And as with the rest of my Playing RPG series, this is going to be system neutral, so it makes no difference if you're playing D&D, Cyberpunk, Alien, Call of Cthulhu, or whatever else, the same general tips apply. First, prepare before the session. In the character creation vid, I've already mentioned reviewing and learning your character's spells, powers, and abilities between sessions. Don't wait until we're mid-game to start reading up on what all your abilities are and what they do. But also, before the game session, take a couple minutes to look over your notes from the previous session. Remind yourself what it is that you did and what it is that you plan to do once this session starts. If at the last session you gained a level or ended off in a town or somewhere where you can pick up some cool gear, don't wait until that next session has already started to begin thinking about what special abilities you want your character to get. Start looking through all the
Better keep my guard up.
guides, decide what cool gear that you want to buy. Come to the game already knowing what it is that you want to do. Because if you wait until the game starts and then spend 20 minutes figuring out what it is that you want, that's now 20 minutes of game time that you stole from everybody else as they're sitting there watching and waiting for you to make up your mind. But if you come to the game prepared and say, how do I get this special ability?
Bend to my will.
For the attention, darling.
Everyone will appreciate you for it. The same thing goes for plot items. If your last session ended with a choice of where you want to go or whatever it is you want to do next, or it's some delicate situation with a lot of different variables that you need some navigating and kind of thinking about, take advantage of that time between games if you're not in the moment to give it some thought and kind of see what solutions you come up with. Guys, I was thinking, the last session ended with us learning what War Tank's secret hideout was. Instead of just going after what we discussed then, what instead we went back to the city supply, but also talked to Whispering Dagger to see if maybe her and her gang might want to help take him out. Aw, damn, I forgot all about them. That is a great idea. Next, when life happens, sometimes you have to miss or be late to a session. Try to be on time. Scheduling a group of people can be pretty difficult to do, and sometimes we do have to make compromises to find a time that the most people can attend a game.
Powers of the heavens.
No, because when you have a bunch of people who took time out of their busy lives to get together, possibly commuting a good distance to all get to the same spot, it is rude to be the one who comes in rolling 20 minutes late to every single session. Hey Theth, something came up and I think you may be like half an hour late today. No problem, man. Thanks for that. Shut up on the phone here. No, sorry about this. It's just something came up that I have got to take care of. So once I am done with it, I will hurry on over and we can get the fight. No worries about that. You gotta do what you
This
gotta
one's mine.
do. I'll keep the guys entertained too. It takes a while. Okay, so
Thank you. I want you all to myself. Thank you.
sometimes things do come up and they cannot be helped, but the occasional last minute, cancellation or notification that you're going to be late, that is very different than the person who is habitually late all the time, or sometimes doesn't even show up or even call to say that they're going to be missing the game. Now that you've done all your pre-session stuff and you've made it to the game session, engage in the world and the game. After weeks of traveling through deep space, you finally arrive at the starport. What do you guys do? I'm gonna hit the
Bend to my will.
Startown, see us
My thanks, dear friends.
Okay. Oops. What are you gonna do here? Hang out on the ship and read a book. It is so boring to have that character that just refuses to interact with the game or with the world. Sure, game masters could bring the adventure to them. Some amazing thing might happen to them while the PC is, hiding away somewhere. But really, that gets exhausting if that's what you always have to do. It places the game master in the role of providing all the fun and all the entertainment for the players. Well, it's just being more of a passive observer than a participant in the game. They're just sitting back and waiting for the game master to tell them what to do and what to roll. So be an active participant in the game, and it is a lot more fun for everybody at the table if the player engages and we all get to play together. And engagement,
Alright, let's see here.
Low effort form that you can do can simply be joining in whatever it is that the other players are going to be doing. Maybe even score myself a heavy laser rifle. Okay, Induables, what are you going to do here? There's nothing that my character really needs here, so I guess I'll just go with Todd's character and see what all we can get into. Now, let's drop in that patron with a quest or an adventure hook. Bite the hook. We all came here to play. The game master, they might have spent many hours designing this dungeon or whatever this adventure is.
Here we go.
All the other players, they have been waiting all week or all month for this game, so it becomes really frustrating for everybody at the table when that one character just refuses to answer the call to action. Now, this can happen for a lot of reasons. Maybe the game master did not come up with the best hook for your character. Yeah, okay, that happens. But you as the player, the one who figures out why your character will go on this adventure. You determine what motivates your character, so decide why it is that your character is going to go on this quest. Discuss this with your table if you have to. Bounce some ideas. Don't waste everyone's time just trying.
We're gonna get everyone to level 40.
Make sure that your character is the type who would ultimately go inside
and then I'm gonna retire them, and then I'm gonna go grind.
Ship or wherever it is.
Then for levels and 2 rank tokens.
Those missing children, you come across a muddy hole at the base of one of the mausoleums. Roots dangle from the ceiling in this kind of narrow tunnel. It looks like it's leading deep into the earth. Well, looks like we're crawling on it, boys. Yeah, my character is an accounting student and part-time model, not an adventurer. So why on earth would I go crawling into some nasty
I made a terrible
mistake?
mistake.
Your character, so it gets sad what would motivate him, so what would motivate him to go down there? The game master knows at the table, they can offer suggestions and bounce ideas for this, such as motivation might be fame, fortune. Maybe you go along to protect the other player characters or just have a fear of missing out on whatever excitement they're going to be doing. But ultimately, this is the player's call and the player's responsibility. We all came here to play, so figure out what motivation that your character needs in order for them to bite the hook. Share what that motivation is with the game master. That way they're not just playing a guessing game, trying to blindly figure out what it is that will get your character to go. And then join the adventure so we can all play and all have fun. Then, once you do begin playing, take notes. As your characters are meeting NPCs and gathering information, names, dates, and other stuff are all getting thrown at you, write them down. It helps you remember the information that might be important later on, but it also helps keep you invested in the game and paying attention to what's going on. That important clue that you got, you might not remember that 2 hours from now, let alone 2 weeks from now if there's a session in between them. This was one of the big things that inspired me making this entire Good Players Tips series to begin with. When I played Encounters with Glass Cannon last year, a couple people were asking what I was doing when I was looking down to make my notes during a mystery game. One even mentioned how no one had ever mentioned that he should take notes before, and that's when I decided that I just had to make a video where I tell players that they should be taking notes. It just took me a year and several videos to even get to that point that I could have just done in 20 seconds, like right there. During the session, if you're stuck, check your notes and see if there's a clue or a hook or some detail that you forgot. If you have to end mid-session, mid-adventure, before the next session begins, just check your notes, jog your memory, and kind of remind yourself where it was that you left off. Now, eventually your character is going to get caught in a fight. Combat can either be the edge of your seat excitement, best part of the game, or the slowest slog at match number. The players have a lot of control of which one of those it's going to be. I've talked about combat before in a pair of dedicated videos and how players can make all their combats more effective and exciting. So there's no need to repeat all that stuff here. I encourage you to go check those videos out. But one thing that does bear repeating here, and one thing that great players do and that everyone at the table loves them for, be ready for your turn. The big reason that combat can take a long time is we're just going around the table with every single person taking their turn. We got player 1, player 2, player 3, and then back to the game master, however many NPCs the game master has, which might be taking one or multiple turns for all the NPCs. Then we start it all over again. If we have 6 people that are all playing, and each participant is taking a full minute to go through the whole motions, declare what their major action is, their minor action, move action, roll their 2 hit, roll their damage, notate everything down. In a single round of combat, it's going to take 6 minutes. Basically, if you wait 1 minute while patiently waiting, the damage takes an additional 5 minutes. In a 5-round combat, that place, that's half an hour right there. So when that camera circles back around to you, you've been sitting there for several minutes, that is not the time to begin deciding what action it is that you want to take, or opening up the book to review all your weapons range, like your spells do. You shouldn't be doing that over the previous few minutes as everyone else was taking their turn and playing. You should be getting yourself ready for once the camera appears, so you're on then with a swing Mike takes out one more deal. Okay, Scott, it's your turn in initiative.
My thanks, dear friends. I am blessed with new strength. The mother's strength flows through me.
I don't care what it is, just do something. Combat represent varying lengths of time, just depending on what RPG it is that you're playing, but the most popular one that I've seen is 6 seconds. So that means that in-game, your character decides and takes an action every 6 seconds. So I think that's a pretty good measure for how long a player should take when contemplating what their next action is, once the camera starts acting up. This one, of course, I'm shocked and appalled that I would suggest that players choose what their action is that fast. I even came across this on a Reddit thread like a month or so back, and inevitably the defense is given how new players need more time to make up their minds, which, yeah, of course they do. They're new players. That's an obvious exception right there. Sometimes even veteran players need to confer some information on their special ability or the distance between one thing and another in order to make the decision.
Oh, thanks for the attention, darling.
Like I said, I'm making on the video, making good characters that good players must learn what all their powers and abilities do and learn what the combat rules are. And while I fully support giving players that are new to the game or maybe new to whatever this type of game is or what type of character they have now, a little bit of grace period on this, they are not going to be new forever. This isn't a blanket statement that just works to the end of time if they need more time because they're new. That is only a temporary condition, because the simple truth is that if you wait,
I am bent to my will.
1 or 2
My hand, how repent.
action before we even begin rolling dice on that. That is not time that you have added to that combat scene for everybody else and slowing the game down even further. A good player understands that time that they spend during their turn, not only lengthens the time for the whole combat scene, slowing the game down further for everybody else at the table, but a great player uses that time when the spotlight is not on them, while the other players are taking their turns, to review anything in the book.
All to my stuff.
This one's mine. What their attack plan is going to be. And then once it does
My hand, powers of the heavens.
Going through all the motions of what they need to do and then passing over to the next player in initiative order. Next, minimize your distractions. I talked about distracted players in a recent video about alerting, so there's no need to repeat all that stuff here. The simple truth is that if you are playing on your phone or a separate browser window or working on some side project, you're not paying full attention to the game and you're going to miss some But instead of discussing the inability for the human brain to multitask remotely as well as people think that they can, there is another good reason that players should limit their distractions during the game. It's fucking rude. It's telling everybody else at the table that you are not paying attention and would probably prefer being somewhere else.
I just casually dropped the F word, huh?
Are paying full attention. Doesn't change the best. When players are thinking about, who they want to game with and who they want to spend their time and energy with,
I feel somehow
it'd be fun to play beside. The person that's always distracted during the game on their phone. Not as many people are going to be excited about getting to play with that person as they would be with somebody who's actively engaged with the game. And if you want to be a great player who everybody's going to have at their table, then everyone at the table should feel that you are thrilled to be there with them. Being distracted, that gives the impression that you just have better things to be doing than whatever it is that they want to do. And if you don't appear like you're excited to be there, excited to be playing with them, then why should they be excited to play with you in return? Also, your distractions can spill over to the other players, so minimize your distracting behavior. Now, this can range from people being distracted by watching you play on your phone or stacking the biggest, baddest dice tower that has ever been stacked, or with side chatter between two different players in the scene that becomes so loud that the people who are actively playing in a scene can't hear each other talk, or that non-stop peanut gallery of jokes that derail the game until we've all forgotten what the hell's going on here and what the plot is, which... Okay, I gotta admit, that one is probably my biggest sin as a player. However, one of the big reasons that I play with my friends is to laugh and joke and just spend time together, so I want all that side chatter and jokes going around during our games. It's a big part of the experience for me. It's what I enjoy about it. However, it shouldn't be so much that it ends up taking away from the game itself. Being so much of a good thing that it ultimately detracts from it. And a great player, and how my players are, despite all that crap that I give them in my videos, is that they understand that those jokes and side chatter and all of that.
I only need to retire 2 characters.
Those need to be held in check to not hurt the game for anybody else. Maybe you should watch your own videos not to be a good player, Mr. ADHD. Seriously, he gets distracted by anything. Finally, once the game is done, thank the Game Master. Also offer feedback as well as being able to receive feedback about the game. The reason for this is simple. First, the Game Master has probably put a lot more work than you realize in this game, and a simple thank you can go a long way here. But it's also good to give feedback. Tell the Game Master what it was that you liked. It encourages them to do more of that in the future, and if they don't know that you like that, they might not do that again. But it's also really important to point out the areas that you felt could have been improved or requests for certain things that you might want in the game, such as, hey, this is a really great wilderness adventure we had, and I really hope we have a chance to have a city game because, that's where my character's going to shine. Now, don't turn this into a gripe session. Whatever you do, this should be a discussion back and forth, an exchange of ideas, because all of us want the game to be great, but that requires communicating what everyone wants and everyone enjoys.
Characters already be ranked, I just realized.
Problems. That way they don't just repeating themselves or start becoming worse. Visit any RPG forum out there, and you're going to find tons of threads of game masters asking advice on what it is that their players want. So do not assume that your game master knows what you want. They might just be flailing around blindly and trying to guess. They're just throwing stuff against the wall and hoping it sticks. So give your game master feedback of what stuck out, what didn't. And it might save them a lot of time and frustration for everybody at the table if we're all perfectly aware of what everybody wants. Now, on the flip side, there are countless players who've gone online to vent about how their game master isn't giving them what they want, and horror stories about how this eventually built up into some sort of drama and meltdown. And in my experience and personal observation here, many times that frustration built up in silence because the players they might have been venting to each other or venting on the internet somewhere, but they failed to tell their game master about this problem until it already escalated into a full-blown problem. So communication is critical for a long-term group to succeed, and a great player is one who instigates that conversation, communicating back and forth so we can all improve our game. Hey, thanks for watching. Enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. You want to see some more of our stuff, such as game reviews or how-tos, or more of our series on playing RPGs, just hit that subscribe button. Next time, amigos, stay awesome. You know, 9 tips for being a better player is just kind of a weird number. Probably should have gone with 10. Yeah, I couldn't come up with a good 10. Oh well, anyway, man, I'm gonna head on home now, but before I go, you want me to help clean up anything around here? Thanks, man. I really do appreciate that.
Just for Spearant, so there's no way I'm getting rid of her. What would be faster? I think leveling up is indeed just the faster way, so... I think I can do with a reset for Umag. I should probably be safe and unequip everything they have first. Just in case retiring doesn't do that automatically. Need to bother with Jazz Run. Upgrade Chie right now, I suppose. I basically have to retire everyone. Except for Tailsra to get the remaining ranks, so yeah. You have to start over. I suppose this could be seen as an opportunity. An opportunity to redo everyone. I know for sure I want to keep Mara the way she is. Oh! That makes things very easy. Should Mara be a commoner? Yeah, Noble fits her, but let's say she did a slight, so now she's disowned. Remember when I was like in freaking with Jenica Dune? Oh, the thing I said, what the fuck are you wearing? Mara's the one that said that, and then the rumor spread, and now she's just not part of the family anymore. Canon. Okay then, so I don't have to grind as much as I believed I should. So that's great. Yamata. Yamata's at the south, right? I don't remember. I guess she's a blacksmith. I don't know, none of these origins really fit her. She wasn't really raised to do much of anything. Maybe craftsman fits, although 2 agility and 1 intelligence isn't really great. It makes a lot of sense for Mara to be an artist.
I want you all to myself!
I forgot you could just make a new character that's already in the specified rank. And it's might... Hold on, how much tokens did that consume? Made Mara. I guess we can make Veol next. Vale be an elf. Oh, Geo-Templar is gnome and human. Not Geo-Templar, frickin' Sohei is what I want. Again though, this is a chance for me to rethink things. Although I'm pretty fine with the Sohei class. And what it does. Yeah, I think I'm gonna change no one in the end. Yo, it only uses one. God damn. Sure. So much effort and time I wasted, even for the C rank up. Man. Now I feel like an idiot. I don't plan on ever going past B rank. This is the last time I'm doing this. If I get to A rank, it'll be naturally. I forgot the backstory for it. I forgot the ancestry for these two. Yeah, I'll stick to healing. She's a bishop now. Nice.
All right, getting stronger. Great fight, everyone. If we stick together, we can overcome any challenges.
If we must fight, then I'll make it fast. Defend yourself. Something's off about that wall. Ha! If anyone needs help sharpening their weapons or mending their armor, just let me know. I'm here to help.
Okay, I think Vale was the kind. What am I gonna do with all this excess? I don't think I can sell them. I don't think I should. I worked hard for them, damn it. There'll be a reminder of the fucking mistake I spent. Yes, a Kunoichi. Should I just make everyone human? The elemental resistance really isn't all that useful. Kunoichi is available for a lot of classes. Go Elf. Wait, Elf was what she was last time. Death resistance could prove very nice. So I don't really need her to be human. She doesn't need to be a skill monkey. Well, it was thanks to my grinding that they got to level 4 and was able to give me B rank tokens. But well, I mean, if I didn't retire them, I would have just had to make a new character and they would have just been wasted space in the character selection. Yeah, Copium. Trouble Dragon Kunoichi. Iya just has wings now. Is it a retcon? Maybe, I don't know. And all the colors suck. Dee is black haired, but she's also dark skinned, and Iya is certainly not dark skinned. Not being racist. I don't know, I guess she could just get a tan. I guess. And now she's permanently dark skinned. I like the purple here though. Again, I don't like the blonde here. Cricket, he is canonically dark-skinned now. Always has been. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. She can only be in the south, from the Southlands. Alright. More accuracy would certainly be nice. I forgot what background they gave. I think Marshall fits though.
Everything dies. Nothing matters. Who cares what happens?
I forgot.
If we stand around any longer, I might just take a nap.
I think it was loner or stoic.
I feel stronger. Defend yourselves!
Guess that wasn't too bad.
I think Iya was the loner personality type. Telthra, Chie, Umag. Last but certainly not least, I believe he was a warlord. Warlord last time. But I could change that. 2 agility, 1 strength, but like 2 strength and fortitude is just way more useful, you know? Yeah, frick it. Umag's a hobgob now. Again, as for how or why, who knows? It just is now. Let it be done. Yours looks boring. This one just looks like normal human skin, which again is very boring. She's from a different family now. Sure, Schwartzbring. Of course, she was a knight.
Gods of all, do not forsake us!
It's going to suck for a little while. This Titan cap. Ring of Wardings, why not? Just enough blocking and evasion. I would wager. Can't sell them. Figures. Yeah, I really don't want to sell them. Ooh, when could we buy a Holy Charm? You collect the group we have now, eh? Get it me to grind back up.